Hey everyone, Karya this side. So, have you ever stuck with an error message that says something went wrong? Like no details, no logs, no clues, what happened? So, that's why your logging and error handling is absolutely critical in your software development. Okay, so like implementing these things well make your application more stable, easy to debug, and friendlier for your future self. So today I'll walk you through with the best practices used by top engineering teams to handle the errors and log events effectively. So let me quickly share my screen and see you there. Hey, what's up? What's up? I hope my screen is visible. Let me quickly cross check everything is working. Uh huh. Cool. So, yeah, hello. Hey. So, error handling and logging best practices 2025 edition. Although we are just close to the 2026. 2025 is just to end after 3 months. It's October, November, and December. Cool. So, have you ever stuck with the screen which says something went wrong and you don't have any idea like what's wrong with this? So, let's talk about more and dive into this. Okay. So, let's first talk about error handling basics. Okay. So, what are errors? As you can read here, errors are simply unexpected situations in your program, and that could be your compile time error and the runtime error and the logical errors. Like, what are those errors? Like compile time, like the syntax mistakes that we forgot to like the write the semicolon, and some other syntax errors that we write, we have missed something or like forgot to mention the return statement and all those. So next we have the runtime errors. Okay, so like whenever I ask someone like can you tell me about the runtime errors, then they always say like they divide by zero. Now I'm saying like, yeah, now you are a software developer or an engineer. If in an interview today you are saying like the runtime errors are like divide by zero, then it's not acceptable. So just say something else like accessing a null object. You are trying to access an object which is null, or trying to read a file that doesn't exist. You are just trying to read someone's file, or you have mentioned a path, but that file actually doesn't exist there. So those are your runtime errors. Those errors you will not find on the compile time. Next, we have the logical errors where your code runs but provides the wrong result. Okay, so that is your logical errors. So I think I have. Do we have something else? Oh yeah. Okay. So now the actual question is, do we handle errors or just ignore them? As you can see here, like inside our try catch, we have some risky code, and in the exception or the catch block, we are just doing nothing. So this is terrible. We shouldn't do this. We should handle the errors and the exception properly. We'll talk more about this in the video, like how we can do that and what are the best practices for that. Okay. So yeah, best practices in error handling. Okay. So the first is use specific exceptions instead of generic exception. Absolutely. You always have your domain exceptions. Like suppose let me give an example. We are working with the payment. So you must have like the payment failed exception. You cannot use like the internal server error or 500 exception, runtime exception. No, those are not work here. Those will not work here. Use specific exceptions instead of generic one. Okay. Don't swallow exceptions silently, at least log or read through them. Yeah. Don't do like this as I showed you here. Like, don't do this. Okay. At least log the actual error message inside an exception and read through them. I'll show an example. Provide meaningful error message. Avoid cryptic codes like your error 502. Yeah. We shouldn't do like we should avoid this because today we are writing, might be tomorrow. some might other developer will come at your place, and if he is trying to like find the logs, and it will not like 502 or something like that, it will always like look search for the keyword like payment fail in the some of sort of your relation correlations IDs and all those. I'll show you like fail gracefully, like retry fallback or show a user friendly message. Absolutely, we should implement some retry logic or the fallback mechanism, and we can show a user friendly message. Or instead of if we are failing, then suppose your database is not working at the moment, so in that case you might show the cache data, or the you can have the mock data, I would say. The mock data you can show to them. Validate inputs early, stop bad data before it causes bigger issues. Absolutely, you must have the prior checks or the validation, so later on like will not process, or that may cause the bigger issues while processing. So always just handle the validations, input validations earlier. Okay, so or yeah, this is the one example like I was showing you. Don't swallow and use a specific meaningful error message. As you can see, we are processing the payment here, parsing the order. Payment failed exception. This is domain driven. Your special or specific exception. Logger dot error. Payment failed for order ID. Order dot get ID in exception message. This is also not the right way, I would say. It must provide some more detailed information. I'll show you. In notify user, we couldn't process your payment. Please try again. Cool. This was the one way. And error handling best practices. Okay, so now let's shift to the logging fundamentals. Here I'll show you like how we have to like provide the accurate or proper logs for that. Okay, I hope this is visible. Cool. So most systems support different log levels. Absolutely, like we have multiple log levels, as you can see here: debug, info, your warn, error, and fatal. Okay, so debug is specifically for like detailed developer info. When you debug your code, so that is for the debug. You generally don't see like the debugging fatal, but info, warn, error, these are some of the like the log levels which you generally see in the environments. What is saying? What are they saying? Okay, I will check later. And info, general system events. It's like processing payment correspond to the order ID or something like that. Most of the time we see the info in the production environment, and warn something unusual but not better. Warn is like your payment service is taking longer than expected. That is a warning, but it will not harm your service or the flow. Error, something went wrong, needs fixing. For that, we should use log.error, like I showed you on the above one. Fatal, critical system is unusable, like when your system crash or it went out of the memory or something like that. That is a fatal. Okay, so these are the logging fundamentals. Cool. Next, we have logging best practice basics. Cool. So here what we have, that we must, okay, I think first we should focus on this only. Log enough, but not too much. Flooding logs makes debugging harder. Exactly. So always provide the, I would say the enough and uh, information which is relevant to the logic, or which and in which help the developer to investigate the issue and what they need to fix them. So provide that relevant information inside your log. Don't dump everything inside your logs and all those. Okay, so never log sensitive data like your password and credit card details, like the number and or your CVV and all those, and or your personal info. Don't log anything there. Use correlation IDs to trace requests across microservice. Absolutely, I was talking about this. So like when you are working with the different multiple microservice or the systems, so like the correlation ID. So basically, correlation ID is the unique identifier. It's usually your WID or UUID, which basically helps to identify like your request or the transaction which is going along with the flow. So do I have any example of this? Yeah, as you can see here, this is without correlation ID. Like you have auth service log, and which is your user login successful, and the payment service which is payment failed for this user. But there is no way to prove like they both are belong to the same request. But when we have the correlation ID, so as you can see here, our correlation ID ABC123 for each request it would be different. It won't, भाई आज कितने मैसेज आएंगे, क्या हो गया है? It won't be different, it would be same. And as you can see, user login successful, and for the payment error, correlation ID is the same, payment failed for user photo. So that's why I use the correlation IDs. Okay, so next we have prefer structured logging JSON format key value pairs. So yeah, that was the example of we should have the we should prefer the JSON structured logs. So like it's help us to reads the log easy. So it helps developers to reads the log carefully and easy to search inside the logs and see like what's happening. As you can see, log level error, service payment, and the correlation ID and the message, and we have the order ID and the timestamp. So like timestamp, service, correlation ID, and message, these are the some basic prerequisite or the essentials for your structured logging, and else the relevant information you can provide there. Centralized logs with tools like ALK Stack, Splunk, or Datadog. These all you can explore. I have used Splunk, and nowadays your open telemetry, and others are like best in the market that we are using. Obviously, they are paid subscription based model, but it saves a lot of time and it helps us some more. And it helps us. Okay. So next we have advanced logging best practice. Cool. We'll see that image later. So advanced logging best practices. Establish clear objective for logging. Yes. So ask yourself what is the objective for writing this log? Is this an error or the audit log, or like what is the log? And this is for the uh, reading, this is for the debugging, or this is for audit purpose, or for what purpose. This is what is the objective of writing this log. Use log levels correctly. Absolutely. Yeah, don't dump everything into like the error, like this blah blah blah. Always use the like appropriate levels, like debug for debugging and info and error word appropriately. Structure your logs as I showed you the earlier this JSON format. Always structure your logs, or it's easy to helps to improve the readability of the logs and everything. So write meaningful log entries instead of just do I have something? Yeah. So this was the image for that. We can crop down this image. Okay. So instead of writing the login failed, you should write login failed, invalid password for the user ID. This is the IP and this is the request ID, or you can say the correlation ID. So this is the best way, write meaningful log entries. Okay. So sample your logs when needed. So in high traffic systems, like the identical logs can overwhelm the storage. So it's like the sample or duplicate logs must be dropped to save some cost. Like if we have the same or duplicated logs, then we can simply drop them and save some cost. And next we have the don't ignore performance costs. It's like your logs also takes the CPU and the memory and the IO. So use async logging, and or I would say the batch logging, or what you can do, you can use the efficient libraries for logging. Okay. So that's way it won't affect your performance. Okay. Don't log overly sensitive info. As I mentioned, don't put your passwords, credit card details, or the personal information, because your logs are getting backed up and running on the server. It most of the people have access to those logs, so it should not and there shouldn't and there should not be the security breach. Like It should not contain your password and the credit card details and the personal information in the logs. Don't rely on logs alone for monitoring. Absolutely, because your logs are reactive. For proactive monitoring, use matrices and tracing tools to observe these all things better. So next we have error handling and logging together. Okay. So see, imagine an API request failed. So like for the user, show a user-friendly message that something went wrong. Please retry or try again later. But for the developer, log the stack trace, correlation ID, and the request details. So like your developer will investigate what is the actual issue and it will help them to like fix them quickly. Okay. So next we have common mistakes to avoid, and the mistakes we should avoid while handling your logs, while handling errors and logs. So next we have the common mistakes to avoid. Cool. Catching generic exceptions everywhere, as I showed you for with the help of payment example, payment service like payment failed exception. Don't use generic exceptions everywhere. Logging everything without structure or context, we don't do this. Returning stack trace directly to users, no, it should be relevant to the developers only, stack trace, and we can show to the user like the user friendly messages, so like they won't be scared with the technical details like what's happening or what happened behind the scene. Just show them a user friendly message. Using logs as your only monitoring tool, no, you should use the metrics and tracing tools for the better observability. Mixing business logic with error handling. Yeah, don't do this. Don't write like try inside your try block everything like log info, log handle, and along with your business logic, blah blah. Always just keep separate them. Keep your business logic in one layer and the error handling logic in the another layer. Okay, don't mix them. So what you should do next? Handle errors specifically, not generically. Log smartly with objectives, structure, and security in mind. Cool. And remember, logs are for debugging, not monitoring. Use metrics alongside logs for a full picture. Cool. So yeah. If you found this video helpful or useful, drop a like and subscribe for more best developer practices. And tell me in the comment like what is the worst error message you have ever seen. So yeah, thanks for watching this video. I'll I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.